singular point mobilization for their electoral and political advances. This is very dangerous, as all of us, most of us realize, very dangerous for the country's unity, integrity, and this is not in the interests of India. They are doing this which is not in our country's interest and people's interest. So the CPIM is opposed to these sort of communal polarization sharpening and is appealing to all Indian patriots to come together to ensure that the control over government machinery and state power does not permit the BJP to escalate this communal polarization in the coming days. Which means we'll all have to unite to make sure they don't control the reins of government and state power in the country. And that is very important for India's future. Secondly, in this background, our finance minister has gone to the USA and made a very peculiar statement saying that the ground realities in India are different. When answering a question on the attack on the Muslim minorities, she said the ground realities are different from what is being projected here. If the Muslims are under attack or under siege, why is their population growing? Now this is a very peculiar argument which which India had rejected since the days of the most inhuman man-made Bengal famine. When the Bengal famine occurred, when Churchill, as a Prime Minister, was asked in London that they claimed that this is a man-made famine, it is the British policy that is creating these shortages, food shortages, that's creating this famine. Then his classic answer was, his most obnoxious answer, he answered by saying, if the Indians are starving, then how are they breeding like rabbits? This was the most obnoxious statement of Churchill at that point of time. And now our finance minister repeats the same sentiment. And what is this growth of this population anyway? That can be debated. Even that has been shown that their growth rate is not higher than the national average growth rate, that of the Muslims. But anyway, this argument that because the population is growing, nothing is wrong, nothing being done to them, is very specious and is completely unacceptable. And it reveals a certain mindset, which is most unfortunate. And it actually goes back to the colonial mindset of how they treated the Indian people. Now this, apart from this communal polarization, the situation of economic burdens being imposed on the people is getting more and more intensified. The Modi government has stopped the release of the 2017-18 large survey by the National Sample Survey Organization, which is the basis on which poverty is estimated in the country. The number of people whose expenditure is less than what is required to be above poverty are calculated as people living in poverty. That is a normal practice in India also. Clearly, that was showing a very negative result for the Modi government. So this has been suspended for over a year. This has not been allowed to be released. Now a private survey by eminent economists has come out, whatever that survey results may be. The fact that emerges is, for the last 8 years under this Modi government, the real wages in India have remained stagnant, if not declining. With inflation soaring, if the real wages are stagnant, that means people's consumption is declining, which means poverty levels are increasing. Now this is the sort of statistical manipulation that is being done to try and conceal the truth. And this is exactly what has also emerged from another study which has been released today In fact, that shows you that during the last 80 years, the real earnings of the poor in India declined by minus 53%, while that of the rich and the upper middle class went up by plus 39%. So under Modi rule, the process of creating two Indias, a shining India and a suffering India. This shining India, suffering India, this narrative is becoming the reality in our country. Enrich the rich, impoverize the poor. Minus 53% decline in their earnings or in the real incomes that they've got during the last 8 years is an amazing degree of impoverishing the people. Now this, along with the highest levels of your unemployment, your inflation, runaway inflation led by food inflation and fuel inflation, which means the poor are the target. And this is actually creating a situation of greater and greater misery for the people. And this creation of two Indias is something that has to be stopped and reversed. That is why the CPIM has, along with all the organizations of the working people, have decided to intensify the popular struggles against this. The CPIM had supported the Mammoth rally that was held in Delhi on 5th of April on the Parliament by the working class, the peasantry and the agricultural workers. And various calls have been given by various sections of the working people. These struggles will intensify in the days to come. And it is on the basis of these struggles that, like we got the Modi government and the Prime Minister himself to announce the repeal of the agri laws,